Rain poured down in relentless sheets, drumming against the tall glass windows of a sprawling mansion that sat at the edge of the city. Inside, Adrian Holt stood silently in his study, gripping a framed photo of his late wife, his heart heavy with the weight of memories and promises he could never keep. The house was silent, except for the soft hum of the storm and the quiet breathing of his little daughter, asleep upstairs. To the outside world, Adrian was the perfect picture of success, a powerful CEO with everything anyone could dream of. But behind the expensive suits and cold boardroom expressions was a man drowning in grief, loneliness, and the crushing responsibility of being both a father and a businessman. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and love finding its way even in the darkest of times, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. Your support helps us bring more heart-touching stories to life. Adrian's life had turned upside down 2 years ago when his wife, Clara, tragically passed away in a car accident. Since then, he'd been raising his 5-year-old daughter, Amelia, alone. But as a CEO of a multi-million-dollar company, his time was constantly pulled in 100 different directions. He needed help, so he hired someone to take care of Amelia and manage the household. That someone was Ilara Quinn, a soft-spoken, kind-hearted young woman with a mysterious past of her own. Ilara had been working for Adrian for almost 6 months, and during that time, she had become more than just a maid. She was Amelia's confidant, playmate, and almost like a mother figure. She had a gentle way about her, always calm, always understanding. She never asked for much, never pried into Adrian's life, and always put Amelia's happiness first. Adrian noticed her quiet strength but never allowed himself to think beyond their professional relationship. His heart was still buried with Clara, or so he thought. One morning, Adrian's world was shaken once again. His company's biggest investor announced he would be visiting in 2 weeks with his wife and family, expecting to meet Adrian's partner. The problem was, Adrian didn't have one. The investor, Mr. Whitlock, was a traditional man who valued family above all else. If Adrian appeared as a cold, distant CEO with no stable family life, there was a risk he would pull his funding, sending Adrian's company, and thousands of employees, into ruin. Adrian sat at the kitchen table that day, his head in his hands, while Amelia colored quietly beside him. Ilara moved about the kitchen, preparing breakfast, and when she saw the stress etched into Adrian's face, she hesitated before asking if he was okay. That's when the idea came to him, a wild, desperate idea he hated himself for even considering. He needed someone to pretend to be his girlfriend for just one evening, to convince Mr. Whitlock that he was a stable family man. And who better than someone Amelia already adored? At first, Ilara was stunned by the request. She wasn't sure it was appropriate or even possible. She was just a maid, after all, and she had no experience pretending to be part of a billionaire's glamorous life. But when Adrian explained what was at stake, the jobs of thousands of people and the future of his company, her heart softened. She had seen how hard he worked, how much he loved Amelia, and she couldn't bring herself to say no. With a deep breath, she agreed. The following days were a whirlwind. Adrian arranged for Ilara to have new clothes, jewelry, and even etiquette lessons to prepare her for the evening. At first, she felt out of place in the elegant dresses and high heels, but Adrian reassured her. Secretly, he couldn't help but notice how stunning she looked, though he tried to bury those thoughts. Ilara, on the other hand, found herself nervous not just about the dinner, but about spending more time so close to Adrian, who had always seemed distant and untouchable. The night of the dinner arrived, and the grand ballroom of Adrian's mansion glowed with golden chandeliers and the laughter of wealthy guests. Ilara stood beside Adrian, her emerald green gown shimmering under the lights. Amelia beamed with pride, clinging to Ilara's hand as though she were family. For the first time, Adrian allowed himself to see what others saw, a beautiful, graceful woman who fit perfectly into his world. The evening went smoothly at first. Mr. Whitlock seemed impressed by Ilara's poise and warmth. She charmed everyone with her genuine kindness, and even Mr. Whitlock's sharp-eyed wife seemed convinced. But trouble brewed quietly in the background. Among the guests was Celine Hartman, Adrian's former fiancée from years ago, who had left him when his company was struggling. Celine recognized Ilara immediately and wasn't fooled by the act. Jealous and bitter, she began whispering to other guests, planting seeds of doubt about Ilara's true identity. As the night wore on, Celine confronted Adrian privately, threatening to expose the truth unless he agreed to rekindle their relationship. Adrian refused, his protective instincts for Elara and Amelia flaring. But the confrontation left him shaken. When he returned to the party, he noticed Elara laughing softly with Amelia and Mr. Whitlock's family. Something stirred deep inside him, a warmth he hadn't felt in years. After the guests left, Adrian and Elara sat together in the quiet living room, the soft glow of the fireplace between them. Adrian thanked her sincerely, his voice unsteady. In that moment, he realized how deeply he'd come to rely on her, not just as Amelia's caretaker, but as the glue holding their fragile little family together. Over the next few days, Adrian found himself watching Elara more closely. The way she braided Amelia's hair in the morning, the way she hummed softly while doing chores, the way she listened to him when no one else seemed to care. He began to notice the sadness in her eyes when she thought no one was looking. One afternoon, as sunlight streamed through the windows, Adrian asked Elara about her past. She hesitated, then opened up. She revealed she had grown up in foster care, never knowing a stable family. She had taken the job to save money for college but stayed because she had grown to love Amelia like her own daughter. Adrian's chest tightened as he listened. This woman, who had given so much love without expecting anything in return, deserved the world. Just as Adrian began to accept his feelings for Elara, disaster struck. Celine followed through on her threat, spreading rumors to the media about Adrian's fake girlfriend. Headlines exploded, calling Adrian dishonest and questioning his leadership. The company's board demanded answers. Mr. Whitlock called Adrian personally, his voice cold and disappointed. Adrian felt everything slipping through his fingers, his company, his reputation, his family. In a moment of desperation, he stood before the board and confessed the truth. He admitted that Elara had pretended to be his girlfriend, but only to protect the company. Then, his voice breaking, he spoke from the heart. He told them how much Elara meant to Amelia, and to him. He said she wasn't just a maid or a stand-in, but the woman who had brought life back into their home. The room was silent when he finished. Finally, Mr. Whitlock spoke. He said he valued honesty above appearances and was willing to give Adrian another chance, on the condition that he never lied again. Relief washed over Adrian like a tidal wave. Later that evening, Adrian found Elara packing her things, tears streaming down her face. She said she couldn't stay after causing so much trouble. Adrian dropped to his knees in front of her, taking her hands in his. He told her she wasn't the problem, she was the solution. He confessed that somewhere along the way, the line between pretending and reality had blurred, and he had fallen deeply in love with her. Elara's tears turned into sobs as she admitted she felt the same. For so long, she had hidden her feelings, believing she wasn't good enough for a man like Adrian. But Amelia appeared then, wrapping her little arms around both of them and whispering, "Please don't leave. I want us to be a family forever." And in that moment, everything became clear. Adrian kissed Elara softly, promising her and Amelia that they would face the future together, no matter what challenges came their way. Weeks later, the mansion was no longer a silent, empty place. Laughter filled the halls, and love warmed every corner. Elara was no longer just a maid, she was Adrian's partner, Amelia's mother, and the missing piece of their family puzzle. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal so we can continue bringing you stories of hope, love, and second chances. Before you go, comment below and tell us, do you believe love can grow in the most unexpected places? Your words inspire us and others more than you know. As the sun set behind the mansion, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink, Adrian, Elara, and Amelia stood together on the balcony, holding hands. Their journey had been filled with pain, loss, and uncertainty, but they had found something rare and precious, a love that healed old wounds and built a future worth fighting for. And this time, Adrian knew, he would never let it go.